Welcome to Probate Weekly. I'm Bill Gross at Bill Gross Probate. And, I have the email address, the LA Probate Expert, because I have tried to become the expert of LA County, in particular, court confirmed sales is my area of expertise. And I one day came across a guy who markets himself as the Probate Pro. And, I'm a little, well, that's pretty bold. And the more research, I found out, poof, he is the Probate Pro. Really excited to have back on the program Darren Findling from Michigan. Darren, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's great to be here, Bill, and enjoy doing this podcast with you. Looking forward to where this conversation may take us.
And more importantly, this is a nationwide business you have, a nationwide area of expertise you have as a probate pro. So talk a little bit, I talk to attorneys who get into probate for various reasons, but where do you get the vision to create a national platform of probate services?
Excellent. So I started here in the state of Michigan and grew it and then expanded into other states. And then I had a vision of going national with the model. And so I had written a white paper, a concept, and tested it out. And like many visionaries, you want to test out your ideas. And I immediately understood that the idea that I had was a great need within the larger community and was going to add great value. So my vision ultimately became a reality, and we've executed it such that we became a national probate firm, not just a state-based firm. I've always been entrepreneurial, always had visions of what niches or needs would be wanted within the marketplace. And of course, like any great entrepreneur, you're testing concepts out. Some work, some don't. The ones that work, double down, triple down, go for it.
So in some ways, it's a similar concept to me. When I started in probate, I saw that LA County is a huge county by population and area, and that nobody was able to specialize in the entire county. Not only that, oftentimes you would get probates outside the county or in Riverside, somebody in Northern California, and there's nobody who could really properly service estates that had those properties well. And that's why I built my business the way that I did. I imagine similarly, you must have looked at the probate space and whatever part you're in and realize there's certain problems or inefficiencies outside of I'm sure there's hundreds of probate attorneys in Detroit or the various metro areas. What were the problems that you saw needed fixing that you set about to fix with your Probate Pro platform?
Absolutely. And that is exactly what a great entrepreneur does, is they recognize the needs, the areas that great improvement can occur. And in my particular case, when I started here in Michigan, I saw that most lawyers were very slow to respond, slow to file. It would take them weeks before they were willing to file things within the courthouse. They weren't calling clients back. They weren't providing white glove services to the clientele. So we wanted to flip all of those paradigms on their head. So we said, we're going to receive our information from our clients and then file actually the next morning throughout the state, really changing the way in which probate services were going to be delivered. Also, we're going to call our clients back within 24 hours. We're calling them back.
Isn't there a rule against that with the Bar Association?
Exactly. Well, we know that one of the greatest critiques of lawyers is that they don't call their clients back. They're really good at calling them back when they're ready to be hired. But once you've paid them money and they're off and running, they just don't want to call people back. It's a real problem within this industry. So we said, well, we're going to change that. We're going to actually call everyone back. Call them back within 24 hours, respond to their needs, and make sure that they're taken care of, and give them that level of white glove service expertise and specialization that is needed. And that's how we transformed this from a small little business into the national business that we are. We're probably the largest probate practice in the state of in the country. So from starting off as a small little enterprise into a real large enterprise by really changing the way in which the services were going to be delivered.
And so for those who are listening, who are real estate agents who get frustrated, and Darren's hitting on point, and I don't mean to insult attorneys. I mean, they have their schedule and they got in the business to run the business the way we want to. So I'm not really judging them, but I do think there's a difference between realtor time and attorney time, right? Realtors, you call me and I'm not that fast. I might not get back for a couple hours. I'll always get back within a day. I'll send you a text. Hey, I was tied up. I'll get you tomorrow. Attorneys, I'll call an attorney on Monday, and the following Tuesday, they'll call me back and say, "Hey, Bill, we're doing a phone call," and I'm like, "What did I call you about last week? I don't remember
Right.
anymore." And for attorneys, it's okay. Now, part of it is they go into trial where they're unavailable. Oftentimes, they're kind of one-man band, maybe with an assistant, and so it's a different world. But our customers, they don't care. They just want service. And so what Darren is doing, and I've tried to do my business differently, try to bridge the gap between the attorney and the customer. And Darren's actually taking the attorney and bridging the gap at the point of service, which is fantastic. So,
And
like, if
Bill,
those who watch it, just know it's a different world.
yeah, Bill, I think you're dead on. I think the point here is that we have to think about the perspective of the client,
Mm,
not the perspective of the lawyer. The
right.
client may need the communication immediately. They may not have the time to wait, and they deserve to be called back. And I really don't care about lawyers who are in trial or lawyers
Mm,
that are busy, because here's why. You simply can call somebody back and say, or have an assistant call back and simply say, listen, Darren's in trial this week. He's going to get back to you, or we're going to schedule a time to talk. We have a
right.
competitive advantage,
Right.
and that is call people back. It's
Right.
basic stuff.
Right.
Call people back. They want to be heard. They want to communicate.
Right.
They're actually paying your bill, not the other way around. They're
Right.
paying your bill. Be available for them.
Well, what I try to explain to attorneys is it may not be the customer needs the phone call legally, but they may need it emotionally. They may need it to tell their heir to avoid some sort of a flip out, and now you have an objection and another problem. And so, needs sometimes don't go by the legal procedures. Needs sometimes are based on what your customers perceive that as. And then again, for those who are listening, I think Darren's setting up an opportunity for you as an agent. I try to play that role myself, where I'll say to the attorney, "Look, I can give the customer stats on the case. I know the stats of the probate case. I know where the documents are," and they appreciate that phone call. So for those of us here, pay attention to what Darren's doing, and either you can work with his firm, which is part of it, and also you can emulate his best practices and put that in your business and try to fill that need on behalf of of the attorneys. So let's talk about what the Probate Pro. What percentage of your business is consumers coming into you? They Google search and find you, or referral by somebody to find you, versus I know that you work with major referral sources, major law firms and other vendors. So can you give us kind of a breakdown of where your business comes from?
Absolutely. I'm happy to share that with you. And I think you touched upon something that I, as a young lawyer, was struggling with, which is how am I going to get the phone to ring? How am I going to get business? Acquiring a new client, acquiring a new relationship is challenging. And I figured early on that acquiring a referral relationship would have tremendous value, would be like an annuity. It would keep paying over and over for years and years to come, versus going direct to consumer, where you're trying to one at a time get a new relationship and a new client. It's very time consuming, and it's very expensive, and it's not nearly as efficient as creating a funnel of opportunity from other professionals. So to answer your question, we're about 90-10. 90% come from lawyers and other professionals from around the country sending us work, and then about 10% based on our own brand strength within this community, within the communities that we serve, based on people searching on Google or AI or getting direct referrals. Those direct to consumer are about 10%, 90% from other professionals.
Now, I'm based in California, and as a result, probably about 2/3 of my listeners, attorneys, and realtors are in California. Is your business active in California, which I think we're a little bit different, though I do think we're similar to Michigan in terms of the makeup of probate and the amount of bureaucracy involved. It's very similar, I think, to California. Do you do California business, and do you do much of it?
Yeah, so our business model allows us to do two different aspects of probate related services. We're directly providing legal services in particular states upon which I, as the business owner of the Probate Pro, have lawyers. And then we're also coordinating probates in every state. And what that means is that we're handing probate matters off to all states, including those within California. So again, our model is both directly providing legal services as well as coordinating probates all over the country to assist people through that process.
And so, obviously, one of the things I think is underrated, of course, I'm a realtor, and that's why I'm passionate about this niche, is I find that attorneys allow the customer so often to pick a realtor, and the realtor may be just a good local realtor who knows that neighborhood, knows nothing about the probate. And in many cases that works. But once you have heirs fighting and somebody has to communicate with multiple attorneys, I think that also not being part of the team, but just being the realtor is a missed opportunity for the attorneys. That's why I try to sell them on how do the majority of homes that need to be sold get to the realtor's hands? Are you involved in the process of referral? Is the realtor bringing deals to you and it comes pre-assigned? Or is it kind of happen? So I just know you're big enough operation where you must have some system in place that controls that.
Yeah, it's all of the above. We have some families who come to us with their relative, their neighbor, their friend, their relationship, and their realtor. We have some who are desperately seeking our guidance to refer them to a professional that we are comfortable with. So we see it all. And so there's no one size fits all. We're willing to work within both. I think the point, though, Bill, is that establishing a relationship with like a firm like ours, other professionals, is a really good strategy because there are clients who will come to us who don't know a real estate agent or don't have a competent agent that they're comfortable with. Maybe there's a family member and they just want to distance themselves from that particular family member, and they want our independence in it. So we'll refer them to people that we trust. We're not referring them to our friends. We're referring to them. We're referring them to those professionals that we've had experience with who are going to do great work, who understand the holistic probate process, because probate is unique. There's some unique aspects to that process that we want them to understand the language around.
Yeah, yeah. California, we have a very structured real estate contract and system, I think. And to my knowledge, it's the only state that has any statewide addendums that outline that. In other states, I would imagine the attorney, or in your case, the firm, must have some templates for various state-specific templates. Or like, how does that even happen? How do you even get a case where there's a rare court confirmation in a state, but there's no addendum? Do you write the addendum, custom for each? That's got to be very expensive.
Yeah, there's no one size fits all here. And as you are expressing, probate is disparate, which means different from state to state. There's no one size fits all. And in fact, in some states, there are counties in which have their own processes and local rules. So there's no one size fits all. And those estates, those files that require court approval, there's going to be documentation that's created. There's going to be an approval process that goes through the probate court. But again, I want to be careful here because I don't want somebody in New Jersey hearing this differently than California or Michigan. They may have unique laws as it relates to that process. And in some circumstances, as you know, Bill, there's no probate court required at all in certain circumstances and in some states. So it's not one size fits all. And the goal is to meet the client within the state and within their circumstances to most efficiently get them through the process.
Are there particular states that you're growing and that you're looking for attorney referrals that will fit your program? And what kind of attorney would fit into your profile to work with in some of those states?
Yeah, so we're always looking for lawyers because we are growing. So we're always looking for lawyers that are interested in doing great work. And I emphasize great work. We don't want the lousy lawyers of old. We want those who are progressive minded, who are efficient, who return people's calls, who are out there understanding that they have to fit the culture that we're providing. So we are always seeking lawyers in all states. We have a lot of volume that comes in to the Probate Pro. So we're always seeking lawyers. If there's a lawyer out there listening in, reach out to us. We'll connect you to our program. It's really a win-win situation. And that's how we like to do business, a win-win, so that both parties benefit from it.
Well, it seems to me there's attorneys who I meet who are maybe really good attorneys, but they're just not motivated in the business development. They don't like social media. They're uncomfortable. Nobody trained them on it. It's a big lift to get started, especially if you're a sole proprietor. It just seems like it'd be a natural for that person to talk to an organization like yours to say, hey, I can do this part of the work, you do that part of the work, and let's find some way to split the revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bill, you touched upon something that I know that any lawyer out there listening can appreciate. When you go through law school, you learn very little to nothing about the business of law, how to grow a practice, how to acquire new clients, how to grow and scale a business, how to hire employees, how to fire employees, all of these things. So we've been very fortunate to be implemented by one of the most famous implementers in the country by the name of Gino Wickman. He wrote a book called Traction.
Oh yeah,
Very famous book. He's a
yeah.
Detroiter. Very fortunate that he still implements my business. Very proud of that. He's a true genius. And for anybody out there that wants to understand the ABCs of business, they should really read Traction. They should probably also read the book Good to Great, and they should also probably read the book E-Myth, the
Yeah.
entrepreneurial myth, the idea that you're going to have to spend time working on your business, not just in your business, because there's a lot of great lawyers out there who do really good technical work, but don't put enough time and energy in working on their business. And I would say the same probably holds true for real estate agents who may be listening
100%.
in. They're really good at selling houses. They're really good at their relationship part, but they haven't put a lot of energy into thinking about how to improve their business, to work on the business, not just in the business.
100%. Well, E-Myth is just for me one of the life-changing books. Now I know they've since written individual books on E-Myth for attorneys. They've written one for E-Myth for real estate agents, and it's like one guy who bought an E-Myth and I think explains his implementation. Do you recommend the E-Myth book for attorneys, or more the E-Myth and Gino Wickman as far as specifics for marketing?
Well, when I was a young lawyer, a friend of mine turned me on to the Michael Gerber book, The E-Myth, and it was a really great book for me to read because I was
Yeah,
so deeply involved in the
yeah,
business.
yeah,
And some of these concepts now have become so universally understood that you need to spend a percentage of your day working on your business, not just
yeah,
in your business.
yeah.
So Michael Gerber kind of created that concept. I think that Traction by Gino Wickman gives you a great model, a great framework upon which to
Mm,
operate a business, whether you're in law,
mm,
real estate, or any business. I know that EOS is widely understood around the country as a really good entrepreneurial operating system. And so
mm,
I'm a big fan of it. I've been using it, but it may not be for everybody. But for those that operate it, I can promise you this: if you follow the EOS system, you will be better off than those that don't. That doesn't mean you're going to be more successful, but it's no different than if you drink water in the morning, exercise, eat healthy during the day, meditate once, go to bed on time, wake up on time, and don't drink alcohol or smoke. You're going to be better off than those people that are not.
It's so funny. If you've been following me, I've lost weight. I've lost about 40 pounds here in the last 6 months. I saw my doctor yesterday. He says, "So what are you doing? Uh, uh, Ozempic?" I said, "No." I said, "To be honest, I'm just eating less. I have 2 meals a day instead of three. And I changed my day to where I walk 4 miles every day, at a minimum. Like wherever else I do, that gets done." And he goes, "Wow, that sounds simple." Yeah, it's just I got to do it every day. And yeah, you're better off. I don't care what you do. If you walk 4 miles a day, you're going to feel better. There's almost no way around it. And if you eat 2 meals instead of 3 meals, I think you're going to lose weight because you're eating less food. Not complicated. And I think, like you say, EOS and the Michael Gerber system in particular, if you follow a format in the system, your business is going to, improve and be better and more on point of what you want it to be too. I think, like for me, this is my business. I'm talking to you. Like I ask my wife and say, I get paid to do this. I'm standing here, I get to buy stuff from my desk, and I get to talk to great people around the country. I get paid for this. How does that work?
And Bill, first of all, congratulations on all
Thanks.
that life-changing work that you've done.
Mm,
There's also a great Harvard Review article written by Ronald Heifetz, I think is the name, about the adaptive change theory, and the idea being that when you're confronted with a problem, you can simply ask for the pill, the quick fix, the
mm,
technical change.
mm,
But most change, the greatest effect for change to occur is an adaptive change in which you've done, which is changing your lifestyle.
yeah.
It's more difficult to do, but it will be a better change and cause greater opportunities by doing adaptive changes. So we're a subscriber of that concept. And congratulations to you on your lifestyle changes. There's one other thing I want to mention when we're talking about business growth, because I really am passionate about scaling and growing a business. So I heard a speaker recently talk about the African lion dog, which I've got a little stuffed animal here. I've got a whole bunch of stuffed animals that I like to use as demonstratives. The African lion dog is a really interesting, very effective hunter in Africa. The lion kills at like, I don't know, 40%, kind of waits, strikes, kills. The African lion dog, day after day, hour after hour, is pursuing their prey and has a kill rate of over 90%, very effective. And it's a competitive advantage called competitive stamina. And something that I am a big believer in is I will always outwork everyone else around me.
Yeah.
I have a competitive advantage because I'm probably going to be working harder and longer than anybody else within my industry. And everything in life did not come with a quick strike like the lion. It
Mm.
came like the African wild dog, day after day, disciplined work about growing and scaling the business. Most people think because they're watching Instagram and TikTok that people get struck by lightning and have great success. And there are a few people out there that do that. But most entrepreneurs, most people who have built great businesses are day after day, hour after hour, putting in more time and energy than all of their competitors.
Well, and quite frankly, that's why I restructured my business, was about me learning and being better as an agent than my competitor, rather than 9% of the marketing advice to real estate agents is, well, buy the database and then just cold call and tell people how great you are. Well, what if you're not great? How great are you? And I thought, when I set out in LA, I realized I could be the expert in LA County court sales if I just went to court for 30 days, tracked every sale. Nobody's doing that. Now, 6 years later, I have a database of 6 years worth of data. Nobody has 30 days worth. And for all the realtors, I often talk about find your niche in the field and be the expert in that little micro niche. It's way more valuable than cold calling, because cold calling, the next day you have to get up and cold call again. You can't scale that. Versus if you're the expert, then you can leverage other people to help you grow your business. So thank you for the focus and the reminder. And the metaphor of the African lion dog was.
Yeah, the African lion dog. Here's my stuffed animal. I got him, I think, at IKEA. I got a whole bunch of stuffed animals that I like to use in meetings to kind of express concepts. This is my latest one because I was so inspired by the presentation I had learned about competitive stamina. So I'm a big fan. Cute
And
little stuffed
you
animal.
got the stuffed animal to teach other people. It's not because you have some kind of an attachment to stuffed animals. You did
No,
this to
well,
teach.
I probably was really attached to stuffed animals when I was a kid. I acknowledge that. I don't know if you can see. I got a whole bunch of stuffed animals around. You see I don't know if you can
Oh,
see the yellow octopus in the corner. Really, an expression of adaptability and creativity. The octopus is one of the most extraordinary creatures on
wow.
planet Earth. They're adaptable. They change.
Wow.
They're extraordinary, and we really want to always think of ourselves as adapting and growing and evolving. You're either evolving or you're dying. That is a mindset about growth, because you have to constantly try to, within your circumstances, adapt to the circumstances of that situation, and the octopus does a great job of it. So I got a whole bunch of stuffed animals around here, not
Wow.
because I'm a stuffed animal fanatic, but I bring them into meetings. I like to use them for teaching. They're demonstratives, and I think they're an effective way of conveying frameworks and concepts.
I kind of do the same thing. Mine are inanimate. Over my shoulder, I have a crystal ball. It doesn't really work, but it's a metaphor for the crystal ball doesn't really work. And then I have Rock'em Sock'em Robots, which is like a marketing metaphor that you just constantly be at it. And yeah, I think from a marketing point of view, you have to do something that you're doing repetitively over and over and over again and getting good at. Otherwise, you're just another hack who tries some sort of magic pill, and that's not. So it's very similar to your concepts. Let me just take a quick break and do some housekeeping, explain to people who we are. Really fortunate today to have the Probate Pro, Darren Findling he's based in Michigan, but it's a national company that services probates around the country. He's licensed in certain states. The states they're not, they coordinate. And so I believe they have 50-state coverage, either between active probate administration and or referral. And really a pro, and has some fantastic YouTube content, definitely worth watching on his social media. He's a past guest on our program as well. And then this is, wrong spot. This is Probate Weekly. And we do this every Thursday. We release new content and this interview format, mostly with attorneys, but oftentimes the vendors, to help us learn to be better at servicing our customers, as well as to find new people who need our help to refer to or get referrals from. We have a Facebook group with over 4,000 members. You're welcome to go in there, not only to learn and see the content, but post your probate content to get some additional views. So I have mine in there as, of course, But I'm trying to see who else posts stuff here from time to time. We get Kevin Bemmel posts. This was a great one on asset protection. And so feel free to put your content there so we can work together and help make our market more effective. If you want to get reminders, you can register at probateweekly.com. Just go and put your email address. You'll get email reminders. If you want text reminders, put your phone number in. You don't need to. And if you scroll down, we have the podcast in the various audio formats, Spotify and Apple and all that stuff. And then the YouTube link is for the past episodes of the program as well, if you want to see past interviews and things we do like that. So, and thanks again to Darren, who's our guest from Probate, theprobatepro.com. So let's talk a little bit about changes. I mean, if there's one thing that's true about all business in America, at least from my perspective, is things seem to be changing so quickly. I know you're not based in California, though you're active in our state. Have you been involved with has the fires affected you? Do you have any estates and or clients that were affected where maybe the property was waiting to sell and burn down, or now all of a sudden they have a probate situation? And how do you see that affecting your business here in the next few months to few years?
Yeah. So first of all, my heart to all those people that have been affected by the tragedies and within my industry, because I'm opening up matters with the probate court after somebody has died. I'm really in a sensitive space. So it's always a little bit awkward to speak about growth on the heels of tragedies that have occurred. But quite often when tragedies have occurred where there's been lots of people who have passed away, or because of the pandemic, or maybe because of a mass tort like a pharmaceutical that has caused a lot of people to have died. Those are drivers of our business. But we don't, we're careful about being mindful of the seriousness of the fact that people have lost loved ones in these circumstances. And we're available there to be ready to help and support them through that process afterwards. So, change, I just want to talk about change. We've always viewed ourselves as adaptable. And as a business, we're always trying to figure out what is coming in from various stimuli. Maybe it's AI that's going to change our business. Maybe it's competition that's going to change our business. We always have to be looking at that and being adaptable and able to adapt to the circumstances. I want to add one more thing, Bill. I'll talk about social media for a moment. Social media, which is a fairly new concept, I'm just encouraging everybody out there to go for it. Let's think of it from this vantage point. I'm going to give you a free television show, a free opportunity to post and publish your content. It's free. Why wouldn't you take the opportunity to do it? And you should do it in an authentic way. You don't have to be like anybody else. You don't have to be perfect. You don't even have to be all that eloquent. But why not take the opportunity to communicate that which you're doing? And I'm of the belief that more is better than perfect. Get it out there. Get lots of content out there. You'll get better as time goes on. But utilize those platforms. Your realtors who are out there that are not posting on social media, I think it's a miss. I think there's lots of things to talk about. And you can post once a day, 5 times a day. It's just a mess from my vantage point. Free television station, free opportunity to spread your brand and let others know who you are. So we take advantage of this. We post a lot, communicate a lot, teach a lot, long form videos, short form videos. We're out there posting and communicating to prospective clients and prospective referral sources.
If I can step right there, I think it's the greatest question. Why would you not? My nature, I'm a really shy guy. My favorite hobbies are reading books, and I swim. I'm a swim team, but you're swimming underwater. You don't talk to anybody. I'm fine. I have a wife. I have a daughter who's married with 2 grandkids. If I don't talk to another human being, I'm okay. But I love talking about business. I love talking about these topics. And so that's what we talk about. And for those who are watching me, I'll just share with you, you may know I have a podcast on real estate. I have this one on probate. And we're actually we're starting to record on estate planning, which I call avoiding probate. and reverse mortgages, which tie into a big part of the business that I deal with. And why would I not launch 2 more podcasts? I'm just talking to people all day long anyhow. Why not record it and put it up there? And what's amazing is, Darren and I are going to talk today for, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 minutes. And, 200 people will see it. So it's like we're sitting in a room and we have 200 people. They're not all going to pay attention. They're not all going to be there the whole time. But how often would you stand in front of a room of 200 people and talk? And the answer is, I would do it all day long if I could do it from my home office. Why would I not?
Yeah, and Bill, not everyone's going to become the next breakout internet Instagram star. That's
Right.
not what this is about. And in
No.
fact, you don't have to act or behave in that manner. Just authentically be yourself and share a listing, share what you're doing, create a brand so that people can understand what you're doing. It's a missed opportunity. I don't know if it's laziness or just simply shyness, which often is the case. Fear of how you're going to be viewed or perceived, but you're out there every day meeting with people and they're perceiving you. Why not simply broadcast it to a larger population through social media? Missed opportunity. We take full advantage of it. It takes time to figure it out, but I encourage everyone to go for it.
I'll tell you a funny story is, I'm a bit of a technology nut myself. I say my hobby is technology. So I started this. I actually was wearing a headset like this. And then I bought some really fancy kind of over the ear and they went behind my back so you couldn't see them. And I got a microphone that I strategically placed out of sight. And my best client said, how come you don't have the headset anymore? And I said, well, I thought it looks better. It goes, no, it looks more authentic when you headset on. So, yeah, exactly. So the only reason I wear this is because it is, on brand, and I don't have a fancy background. Why? Because I'm a real estate agent. Like I actually, there's a lockbox if you know what I'm doing. There's a for sale sign. There's a books you actually read. That's my brand. Now that's not everybody, and you're a national figure. You're talking at conventions. You're an attorney, not a realtor, so your brand is different. And I think you have to think about what do I want people to perceive me as and be authentic to that. And so I've really worked at trying to be authentic. There are times my daughter will walk in, my grandson, and put her in my arms, and people say, "Oh, aren't you embarrassed that she interrupted your show?" And like, no, if you don't like that, you're not going to like me because I rather hold my grandkid than talk to almost anybody.
Bill, exactly. And I think that what we understand from social media is that as much as there's glitz and bling, people want authenticity. The
Yes.
authentic conversations generally resonate really well. Now look at me. I'm a lawyer owning a law firm with 120 people. I'm wearing a hoodie. I'm not wearing a suit. I'm not standing with a bunch of books behind me like this.
Not very loyally there, Darren. Not very loyally.
But this is who I am. This is what I wear. This is my clothing. So this is authentically who I am. And I want to try to stay true to myself as much as possible. That's really the goal. And I think it resonates with people. Instead of trying to be someone else, just be yourself and communicate in that manner. Even if you're shy or awkward, it works. People actually will lean into those who are struggling a little bit to really be interested in who they are. So give it a shot. I just encourage everyone to do so. Take advantage of it.
I wear these shirts because I can quickly put on a tie and coat if I'm on a video court appearance. I about once a week, maybe twice a week. And so you go to court, at least in LA, you have to look lawyerly using my cousin Vinny's standard of lawyerly dress. And it's funny because I always wonder, what do judges do when they go?
Yeah. Well, we know what they do. They've got their black robe, and right in the corner, like I do, I've got a shirt that buttons down. I've got a tie, and I've got a sport coat, and I put it on strategically when I need it, and then it comes right up. Because you know what? There's very few people in the world that enjoy wearing a tie. There just aren't. And again, I don't mind it really, but we know that the judges under their robe are probably wearing very comfortable clothing now.
Yeah, swimsuit or tank top or something. Okay, so let's go back to maybe some of the mechanics of the business. And again, you have a large business, different states, different counties, different people, some incoming from attorneys, some from realtors, so very different. But let's step back a little bit and talk about mechanics. One of the biggest challenges for people to move forward, if I had a customer refer to you to open a probate in some state, is what's going to cost me to start the process? And so one of the things I've worked on is between probate advances, loans to the estates, and or working with attorneys, try to find a way to both take away that impediment to do business, but also protect the attorney that the work is going to get paid for or not be abused. So how do you kind of handle that fine line from a consumer point of view?
It's a great question. And unfortunately, I have to give a little bit of a confusing answer because each state handles this really differently. Some states, there's a table on how lawyers get paid. Some states are time-based. Some states, the lawyer is fee-based with a flat fee. There's no one size fits all. And in terms of the lawyer's willingness to commence a matter, the
Right.
willingness, because anytime you do work without getting paid, you're loaning your time and
Right.
you're loaning money. So there's no one size fits all. However, many lawyers, if they recognize that there's going to be an asset that just simply needs to be liquidated at some point and it'll be converted to cash and they're going to be protected, may not require a large or maybe no money up front to get in to begin the process. Our model usually has a barrier to entry or very little, depending on the circumstances, meaning you can work with our firm and often the monies will come later. It's not always, though. So I want to be a little careful here to not oversell because I don't want anyone to call us and say, hey, I've got a will contest case where you jump into this matter with no money up front. So there, and again, as I just gave an example of a will contest case, there are simple probates and then there are really, really ugly, messy, complicated probates.
Right.
And so that's why there's no one size fits all.
But that is an area that I'm sure you focus on a lot, meaning where appropriate, where you can eliminate the initial cost barrier that's appropriate. That's got to be important. Whereas many attorneys, I talk to them about that, and it's almost like I'm telling them that I invented fire. They've never heard of it before, right? But maybe it's probate advances or loans or other ways of structuring things. So I imagine, is that handled on the initial intake, meaning you're going to find out the details of the probate case and then based on that make a recommendation, not one size fits all? Or how do you manage that with the customer?
Yeah, absolutely. So our intake team understands the nature of the various types of matters that may get referred to our office. And again, as I stated, most of them come in with no money up front and we're moving very quickly. But there are calls that come in that we can't do it that way. It just economically doesn't make sense.
Right.
Maybe it's too risky.
Right.
Maybe there's other circumstances that would prevent us from doing it. But yes, we've got a model to be able to deal with it. Also, there's a difference between a direct to consumer who calls in just simply based on our brand strength, who's reaching out to us, versus a lawyer law firm that is constantly sending us work and we know the rhythm of how this may take place. We've got a lot of data to support the fact that we're going to be appropriately paid for the circumstances that we're involved in. So again, I'm careful about creating a one size fits all because unfortunately in this industry it just doesn't exist. But we try to adapt based on the circumstances. So that's the best I can do, Bill. But you're right, this is a real problem, and there's a lot of lawyers that won't even won't take any risk. They want all the money up front, and they won't do anything without that money up front, and they're unwilling to be creative, really, in terms of the payment process.
Well, I also think that there's a misunderstanding of the E-Myth that might say, no, we should only pick one model. It should either be no money up front for all those, or it should be we charge everybody up front. And you've E-Myth the process of determining the right solution for that particular customer. And I think you can E-Myth that and have a process that varies based on the situation, as long as you have a system that is duplicatable and delegatable, right? Otherwise, you don't want the phone call every time, Darren, saying, "Oh, this guy wants it for free. What can we do?"
Right.
But you have an AK team, and they're trained. I'm sure they make mistakes, and you correct them one way or the other, or you will look at their conversion ratio and you correct that one way or the other. So, again, for everybody on the call, I think as realtors, my job is to try to help my attorneys be more effective on their conversions, as well as with customers. And so referring somebody to Darren, we have to be careful not to promise, oh, it's no cost up front all the time, because there's different circumstances. And I also try to tell agents, try to vet the referral a little bit. So when you give it over, how many errors are there? What city, what state, what county, how many errors and how many assets, what are the assets do you think there are? At least a starting point, because when they'll tell you, oh, there's 8 errors and they're all fighting, no attorney is going to take that one up front and not charge something, because that's not really a probate administration. That's really a litigation case.
No question. And Bill, I will let you know, and those people who are listening in, that I'm deeply involved in the intake process. I'm on the phone all day long, throughout the week, talking to prospective clients. Also, I'm
Wow.
part of that larger team. So I
Yeah.
have a real good pulse of the inflow that comes in to the Probate Pro. I also, you had mentioned something else at the end of that comment. You were talking about the fighting piece. And we know that when a family member dies, often there's stability right before death. They were the glue that held this very problematic family together. And all of a sudden, that person dies. And then you have a disharmonious family, the glue that held them together. Everyone's waiting. And then that person dies, and all hell breaks loose.
A free
So
for all.
it's a free for all. We see that. It's a real sad part of the industry that I'm in, but it's a reality. So when we speak to families, we're always trying to gauge, is the family in harmony? Are they getting along? Are they communicating? Are they collaborating? Or is it really problematic, contentious, adversarial, and they're going to go fight like those
Mm.
rock'em sock'em robots that you just mentioned? If you want to fight, it's expensive. We know that. It's expensive economically, it's expensive emotionally, and it's very time consuming. But it's a reality of the business that I'm in. There's going
Yeah.
to be what we call procedural probates that move very smoothly. And then there's going to be adversarial litigious probates that are going to go through the court system and take quite a bit of time to navigate their way through it.
My fantasy is if ever there's a reality TV show on probate, I get a chance to do that. I like to be the guy in the back, commenting on people. But I've been in the middle of it, like you have, I'm sure, and fists are flying, and you go to court, they're yelling at each other. But to be able to do it on television and do the play-by-play, that's kind of my fantasy.
That's
One of
kind
the
of fun.
things
I think we got something there, Bill. Let's
I know,
produce a show and all the wild things that happen. I mean, one of the beauties of this business is that it's never boring. So we're
yeah,
standing in the shoes. We come into a family's lives often at the worst time of
yeah,
their life.
yeah,
Death, grieving, disharmony, fractured relations, and we're standing in the midst of their family as all of this is going on. It's never boring. I
yeah.
promise you that. And a good lawyer, a good probate lawyer, knows how to navigate through that type of family circumstance.
I'll just put out there in case anybody's listening. My father was an attorney in Los Angeles in the early '60s, and was he was spotted by a scout and did episodes of Divorce Court because he was a family law attorney,
Oh, wow.
and he loved it. It just, the business didn't really work for raising kids, and he wanted to move to a suburb and all. But it's just interesting how. So if I can do probate court, just if you're watching this, you're for the ABC or NBC or somebody, I'm cheap. I'd be glad to do it. It'd be a lot of fun. One of the things that I find that helps minimize the risk, right? When you take the deal in and there's 5 or 6 heirs, and they're all getting along that day, and I'm sure you do this in your intake, and I do it in a sense. I'm not doing the same intake you are, but thinking about the real estate and getting involved, they're all getting along, is that the key is speed to doing the right thing. Now, I'm not talking about closing doors of people's legal rights, but I just find that when an attorney makes mistakes and then the case gets continued 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, it's kind of like leaving food in the refrigerator too long. It might be delicious day one, but after 2 months, it's rotten and becomes a problem. And that's why I think for realtors, so important that we get the case to the right attorney or legal service for our customers' benefit. Like the best thing I can do as a realtor is help them avoid a mistake on the attorney. What are some things, and you mentioned in the beginning, but I want to go back to that topic. What are some of the things you do to be fast, that you do to be quick? Because to me, speed kills. If you're done and you're approved, you have authority, you've made it a lot harder for objectors than if you're still jerking around with clearing probate notes 3 months later. A, you open the door for the objector, and B, the judge probably hates you by now and just ready to rule against you, your client. So what are some things you do to effectuate the speed in your system?
Excellent. And Bill, what's fascinating about what I'm about to tell you is I've been talking about this my whole career, and it still amazes me how few lawyers
None.
still will move at the speed that we speed.
It's unbelievable. We talked about this before, and you're right. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but it is amazing how they didn't even talk about this topic. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just amazing to me. And the reality is, I go back to that competitive stamina. I talk about outworking people. It's a mindset. Our mindset is that we are thinking about the client's needs. The client wants communication. The client wants the letter of administration, letter of authority quickly. They don't want to wait a month. The client is nervous about the house, that the house going into the winter, the pipes may burst, things bad may happen, somebody needs to get evicted. The client is concerned about how quickly they're going to be able to get in to go and remove the contents from the house and then be able to list the house and sell the house. That's the client's concern. We're not focused on our concern. Our concern is to meet the needs of the client. So it's a mindset. Our mindset is, let's solve the client's problems. And the way we do that is we commit our resources to move quickly. So we use technology. We don't wait. Somebody calls in, we're on the phone gathering information, electronically gathering it. It's going out to our team to build documents, and it's getting to those clients the same day or the next morning. That's a mindset. That's intentionality. That doesn't happen without intentionality, because we know that if we start acting that way, we're going to be beating 99% of our competition. So what happens? Other lawyers say, wow, they called me back. They delivered. They did it quickly. They did what they say they were going to do, and they got the problem solved correctly. The next time I have a probate problem, I'm going to send it to the probate pro. And that's how we built this business over the years, delivering, exceeding the expectations of the clients over and over and over again. That's the mindset that I have to instill among my entire team, because if we deliver that, the business will just keep coming in to the probate pro, and everyone else will be scratching their heads wondering, why are they successful? We're successful not because we're smarter. We're successful because we're meeting the needs of the clients. We're creating a value proposition that clients want at an affordable rate. And when we make a commitment, we follow through on that commitment and we deliver. That's the secret sauce. It's not because we're smarter. We may have a better understanding of those principles, and we live and breathe them, part of the culture of this organization. So that's it. There's no magic here. The magic is delivering that which the client wants. We pay a lot of attention listening to what the client wants and then delivering that service.
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles County primarily, and even Riverside, San Bernardino, and Orange to a less degree, but LA, I see other states and other counties, we have such a great system for probate notes. I feel like the judge is a probate attorney or their clerk, is like telling you, hey, you need just to fix these 5 things and we'll approve it. But these are the 5 things you have to fix. And I used to go to court every day, and I would try not to giggle when an attorney didn't know there was such a thing as probate notes, because literally the court is telling you, here is the solution. Just do these 5 things. I'm glad to never see you again, because if you do these 5 things ahead of time, we'll approve you before the hearing date, and you even need to come. And so as a practitioner, I try to train my team members. Our job is to work with the attorney to follow the probate notes, to make sure the customer knows that, to make sure the attorney's on that. And I tell attorneys, you got to turn that around as fast as possible, because you might make another mistake that has to get fixed again at the risk of pissing them off. Some attorneys love that. Some don't love that. Okay, we got the
I'm back to my lion dog, or the African lion, whatever it's called, the African lion dog. I think it's what it's called. Day after day, hour after hour, over and over again. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Get it done, get it done, get it done. And so if you want to be lazy, be lazy. Your matter will be slower. It won't achieve the same results. If
you'll get paid.
Yeah, listen, that's that also, right? The great payout in all this. Now, from our vantage point, we of course want to get paid, but the great payout is the fact that the client has been satisfied, and then they're going to tell other people. This business is growing and scaling because we've done it over and over and over again. That's the goal.
Well, look, it's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. I learned so much from you. I'm mindful of the time here. And now that you told me that you do the intake as well, I feel like I've taken you off of some new business. So I got to get you going. For those who are watching, again, Darren Findling is the Probate Pro. While based in Michigan, it's a national probate service servicing states where they're licensed as attorneys, servicing states they're not with referrals, because they're vast network. And he works with national companies. And we don't really get into that so much this time, but I know he works with national companies that have cases around the country that he's able to help them with their portfolio. The probatepro.com, you go on there, there's a phone number, a toll-free number if you want to call them, or you can click as well to set up a time with them. Darren, again, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate just a wealth of knowledge, and thanks for being on our call.
And Bill, I appreciate it. I always look forward to doing this with you. You're a true pro yourself, and it's great to talk about these subjects.
Now, I think I caught you after the Detroit Lions were out of the NFL playoffs. We followed that, though I'm in Los Angeles, so I can't say I was really crying too much over that. But I know things in Michigan, pretty excited about sports, football. And then the Wolverines, I know, won the national championship last year. I think this year you guys kind of took off a little bit, but you beat Ohio State. Is that how it works? So everything is worthwhile as long as you beat Ohio State?
4 in a row, and there'll be 5 next year. So Buckeyes, get ready. We're coming for number 5.
Well, we can't afford to pay you on Probate Weekly, but I'm glad to throw you the softball on the put down Ohio State. Again, Darren, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate everything you do and look forward to talking to you again.
Appreciate it, Bill. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And for the rest of you, this is Probate Weekly. We get together every Thursday. We're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm Bill Gross at BillGrossProbate.com. Or at Bill Gross Probate on social media, BillGrossProbate.com. If you want to get more information about the podcast, you can sign up at the probateweekly.com, put your email in, you'll get reminders. You don't have to put your phone number in, you can if you want text reminders. Scroll down, you can catch our podcast on audio formats. YouTube has all of the past video formats as well. And then continue conversation on Facebook. We're on, oops, I lost my spot there, on Probate Weekly. We have over 4,000 people. Feel free to post your probate or estate planning related content in the group. Ask for questions, post for referrals. If you're looking for attorneys or realtors around the country, love to have you on. Again, thank you so much, and make it a great week. Thank you so much.